Hello everyone, welcome. We're with the Venus Project Activism in the UK. This week we're talking about hosting viewings of various documentaries such as Paradise of Oblivion or Future by Design by the Venus Project as a local event that people can do. And we're going to generally give some tips as to how you can set up that, how you can coordinate that with other people around the country and with us, with the team, with the larger team, that is. Not just country, even we can do international collaborations with all this. So yeah, we'll get into it now. There's a document which will go around with this video, generally outlining the areas of which I think are relevant to this. So we're just going to go through them and expand on them, and then we'll raise any questions that we have towards the end. All right, guys.
Hello. Hello.
Thanks for being here. So the first one I had was what can we watch and how to watch it. Well, what can we watch? Well, we can watch many things. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a Venus Project thing. If you want to get a more regular group of people and viewings going together, you could expand. So things that we could watch, obviously, Paradise or Oblivion. This one's really good, mainly because it's about 48 minutes, I believe, which is just short enough for more of a general audience. It doesn't require people's attention for a long amount of time. You know what I mean? Obviously, really good overview. Next one would be Designing the Future. That one is longer. That one's more like a full feature movie length documentary. Goes into a little bit more detail. So bear in mind with the audience who you're going to. If you've got people who are interested in the Venus Project already, then maybe Future by Design is good to get them a lot more detail. Whereas if you're trying to approach an audience off the bat, then Future by Design is probably more along the lines of the way to go. With the main documentaries, that is. Another one to bear in mind is not out yet, but it's coming out soon, because we all donated to the Kickstarter, we know, which is, what is it called? The Choice is Ours, which is, I believe, now going to be a two-part documentary, although the first part will be slightly larger and will be coming out sometime in the next couple of months. Generally, just keep your ears out for that. I can't really say exactly what's going to be in it, because I don't know. So kind of make a decision on what your audience is and what's the content of it, see if it's relevant. So yeah, those are those three. Other relevant things could be anything really off Tron sites. You could get a group together. They're doing weekly viewings where you go through Tron sites, or Video Meet is very good for lots of very interesting documentaries. Maybe not quite Venus Project-y. So I'd suggest going more the Venus Project end, but if you end up with a group of people, because you could do this in your house, you could have a group of 5 or 6 people that come around every week. You could then start expanding rather than watching the same video every now and then. Anyone else got suggestions or things that could possibly watch? Or
the one that always blabbing on about you have no idea how long you are. It's only half an hour, and it kind of gives people reflections on the being self-aware of being wrong, so then more open to just holding an idea before just poking as many holes in it as possible.
I guess the other one that we could mention here is Zeitgeist Addendum. It references the Venus Project for a bit at least. But then we'll get into this a little bit later, but then you're going to have to start defining the Venus Project and Zeitgeist movement. That's a tough question to answer for people. So maybe just stick to something that's specifically the Venus Project for the start, just to give a more of a clear message from our side, obviously. Maybe next week do the Zeitgeist side, go and talk to their coordinators, see what they suggest, and you could get a film club going or something like that. where we watch many different things, not just Venus Project stuff. Anyway, so that's the start. Next one was more to talk about venues and audiences. So this is one of the things you need to think about in a bit ahead of schedule, probably in terms of what you're going to show. For instance, say you were doing a showing at, let's say a vegan event. For some reason, there's a vegan event when they wanted to show things, and the actual documentary needed to be vegan. Then you have a problem there, because Paradise or Oblivion and Future by Design both reference fish farms and things like this. So you got to think, okay, what's the audience we're going for? What videos can we play? I'm going to go and play a short video at a vegan festival coming up, and I'm going to actually choose the bit off the website where it says what is a resource-based economy, because that has no mention to any of that kind of stuff, and so it's good with them and it's good with us. So those kind of considerations, and it's, the venue, as I said, the venue could be your house. We could do things like when by design, the Choice is Ours comes out, we could do viewing parties. I'm really interested, although I really won't be here, so I can't actually help organise this. I'm really interested in possibly even doing online video parties where we can all sit down, watch the stream together, and get and discuss afterwards in a group party session, rather than making notes and being all clever. Then again, you can speak to local schools, see if they have film clubs. Universities are a good place that we've found in the past to try and target and talk to. It really helps if you know someone actually in the university, because then you can, from that point of view, ask their student union or their student clubs, like the debate clubs, film screening clubs, if they want to do that. Whereas, for instance, in the past, we've emailed them from their England at TVP activism email, and we've got very little response, mainly because we don't have that initial connection. These are students, they're not going to really be paying attention, we can assume. So it will very likely go into their spam folder and not get read. So if we have contacts already, that's a great way to get in. Village halls, all that kind of stuff would be good. Oh yeah, independent cinemas as well have been known to do viewings in the past. You just have to be careful. Well, you have to ask them. The independent cinema near me is not very independent, and they basically can't show whatever they want. They do have a schedule.
I have some ideas, and it just popped in a while back, but youth clubs. Maybe do a showing in the youth clubs, because I'm pretty sure these kids, like there's one post was called the village in our area called Perska, and I'm guessing a lot of kids see a lot of trouble in their area, so it might just be a way out for them, something to get interested in that they can learn about, something to focus on. But then there's also working men's clubs, which we've done cinema events in those working men's clubs. I think I'm trying to, with the working men's club myself, on a personal level, I'm just trying to break the ice first with a few of the poems that I'm doing, and then see how people take that, and if it seems like they're interested, then talk about doing a cinema event, and maybe show Paradise or Oblivion, and then later on talk about doing other ones.
Let's say you're kind of like infiltrating before you.
Yeah.
Hey, you do what we want to do. It might take a little bit of that kind of effort, actually get involved, show interest in what they're saying, so then you can start raising, well, how about we do something like this?
Yeah, I've mentioned to you before, didn't I? I'd go and meet some people at the Unitarian Church near where I live. And, there's a yoga group to do poetry and do other little bits and bobs and that kind of thing. I started going along without the idea of the Venus Project to take to them. I started getting to know them, and like the pastor of the church is quite an interesting guy, you know, and I talked to him about the Venus Project, and he was interested in maybe doing a showing, and he asked me about if I wanted to meet some guy he knew in Nottingham who had similar ideas, who would be interested in talking about this. And so from there, I can, once we've got some kind of idea, I know because Mick and Ludus and Joe and a few others have been shown the interest in wanting to put on an event, and I know he'd be willing to do it. So that's one of the reasons why I suggested this as a topic as well, that get us motivated and maybe actually do something. You know, even if we have to put lots of planning into it, give it more time than we want to try and get some people. But these types of people as well, like going to universities, going to people of certain, you know, going to poetry groups, getting to know people, and then asking them to challenge your ideas as well. Show them the films, go, what can you see with this that you don't like? You know, so we can challenge what we believe in, because we need these type of people, the thinkers. I think that's going to help us push ourselves forward as a group of supporters for this project. And the project as well, because there's some hard questions that not everybody's going to take your answer for. So we need people who are going to put their fingers on the spots that maybe people are going to doubt about us.
That's good points. All right, next one that goes into hosting quite nicely, which is basically, I would suggest if possible to have more than one person as a host, especially if it's a kind of public event, like if you're going into, say, a film viewing or something, and you know there could be a whole bunch of people. It's nice to have a physical backup. However, don't have to. You can do it on your own. There's absolutely no problem in that. We have the internet, which is a really good thing. So we can have remote hosts or remote backup helpers. We can, so if the venue you're going to, if it has Wi-Fi, we could set up a hangout like this, so that other supporters from around the UK or even further away can come in, help to answer questions, help to like host and generally provide information. So you don't need to be, know everything about the Venus Project to host if you want to do it on your own, even if you want to do it with a couple of people. We actually have done this in the past a couple of times. We've got people like Will Hodgins from America into a hangout with some people from somewhere in the UK, I can't remember where. And we sat down, we had some questions, it was really good. So we don't all need to be there, we don't all need to, basically don't feel isolated and feel that you can't do something just because you're on your own. I know at the moment we're all kind of disparate around the country. I don't know many people that close to me, for instance. There's a few guys further up north, more in range with each other. But yeah, that's generally what I was going to say about hosting. The format can be open, can be changed, but this would be a template format I would suggest. If you want to do, say, Paradise or Oblivion. Get everyone in, get everyone comfortable, crack some jokes, get everyone sit down and relax. Give kind of a short introduction maybe to the Venus Project. Just kind of say, like 5 minutes at most. Just say, thanks for coming, all this stuff. This is an organization from Florida. We're going to find out lots more about them in the video, and generally, I'm very passionate about them, but you don't need to worry about going into it explaining research astronomy, anything like that, because it goes into it in the video, and that's the best thing about the video. It gives you definitions and all this stuff as you go through, so you don't need to remember much. And then once that's happened, then kind of open the floor to discussion, I guess however long it'll be. I'd say if you want a 48-minute movie, schedule it like maybe half an hour at least afterwards for a good chit chat, I think. Because there'll be people, especially people when it's kind of new to them, there'll be lots of questions, lots of things that you'll be able to answer them fairly simply. Or, bear in mind, if anyone asks you some questions and you're not sure, it's important to say, I don't know, rather than give them misinformation. And it's important, I should have mentioned this right at the start, it's important that you just kind of mention that you are not the Venus Project. You don't actually represent the Venus Project. You're just a supporter. You can go as far as saying volunteer. However, yeah, your views are your own, their views, and it doesn't necessarily mean the Venus Project. That just kind of covers everyone's back, so you don't get into trouble. Not trouble, but you want to help these people as much as possible and give them accurate information. And one of the accurate informations is that you're not the Venus Project. Sorry, went over that probably a bit too much. The next one, the next question I have, I don't know, do you guys have anything else about hosting techniques or?
I had a question. You know, when it comes to the end of the film and like a question and answer, and say it's just me and somebody on the laptop, but people start firing things, and like they're not going to listen. I find that a lot of people won't listen to me because I have no PhDs, I have no qualifications. They don't know that I've looked into anything. They're just going. They don't want to go on my word. So I had an idea about instead of saying we'll answer their questions there and then, maybe saying I can point you in the direction of the answer. You know what I mean? Like that, or next week we'll have a video about human behavior, or you know what I mean, or technological unemployment, etc., etc. Do you think that'd work?
If you could have have a regular slot, and yeah, that's definitely good. You could even ask people if, afterwards, maybe you could give them a little questionnaire or something. Say, email England at TVP Activism. Get in contact with once a contact like myself, Tom, or Joe beforehand, just to let us know what's coming. But yeah, we could set up email. People could email in their questions, and we could try and get back to them with answers. Something like that. That would be no problem as well. I mean, if you're in a place for a week and then you're never coming back.
Yeah.
But if they give you an email and the question, so you can send them an answer or send them the information, that would help them with their question, then as well they might just write it down and be interested, or they might actually realise they're in a room full of people and they're being daft and stop giving you so much grief because you've actually given them an option to answer their question. And the people that are just trying to cause grief, they might shut them up a bit as well, because people will heckle you, won't they?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking maybe try and find some videos that answer each, human behaviour, technological unemployment, and just have maybe little cards what you could dish out for each question, because we get regular human behaviour, human nature, etc., and slap that on the desk. Here, check that out. You know what I mean? That's the answer for that. And then when they say technological unemployment, here, that's the answer for that. What about renewable energy? That's the answer for that, etc., etc. So maybe we ought to try and get a list going.
That would be good. Yeah, if you have internet, the FAQ is there. Yeah. So it would be you can go in, you can literally filter by the questions. So if someone asks you something about unemployment, you can just go into the FAQ on the website, type unemployment, and the relevant questions will appear. And you can, if they can see, you can say which one is relevant. You can go in and read it if you want to go into like that, or you can just say, check out the FAQs on the website. Yeah. Generally, just kind of keep calm. If people don't get it, if people are asking questions to annoy you, don't rise to the bait. I know I would be the worst at that, but try and bear that in mind. It'll be good. All right. So next one. Sorry. Any more on hosting?
I can't think of it.
Alright, well, we can come back if we have any more. The next one was just quickly to go over technical setup. So this is, I can't give like an overview of everything that you'll need because it's going to be different at different locations. But let's see. One thing to check is, does the venue have internet? And then the thing to remember is, even if they say they have internet, you cannot rely on them having internet. Because that's happened a couple times to me, and it just is, you'll get there and the internet will be so slow that you can't watch a video. So have an offline copy of the, like say you're watching Paradise or Oblivion off YouTube. You can rip it off YouTube and keep a local copy just in case. Same with if you have any, say you have notes or something that you want to read out, you decided you want to do a little intro, you've written it out, make sure you have an offline copy rather than relying on, say, Google Drive, because again, you could well not have internet. So that's just something that I always have to bear in mind. So I suggest that as well. You're going to want to figure out a way to, well, you're going to need to see what kind of projector or TV screen or something is going to be on, and figure out a way of connecting your laptop to that, or getting like you can get a DVD of the video, say rip it off YouTube, burn it to a DVD, shove it in a CD player, that'll work. A DVD player, that'll work. So yeah, generally figure out where you are in the day. And also, if you're going to do something like a remote Q&A, and like by setting up a Google Hangout like this, so people from all over the country can come and help you answer questions, go onto YouTube and just search for how to set up a Google Hangout. And if you want, you could record it as well. So this is actually what we do today. It's actually called a Google Hangout Live on Air. It's a slightly different type of Hangout, very simple to set up, just a tiny bit different. And so you could do that, so you could actually record, if you have a camera in the room, you could actually record people's questions, you could record your presentation beforehand whilst you're doing all that. So yeah, again, YouTube, just Google how to set up a Google Hangout live on air, and there's tons of tutorials out there that it will just tell you exactly what you need to do. It's very simple. You can do it all in about 10 minutes. So don't worry about that. And 10 minutes is a maximum. 10 minutes is if you don't have a Gmail account or anything like that. Okay. I think that's about as far as I can go with technical setup. What you can do if you're having real problems with it, I guess, is get in contact with the Facebook page. Maybe just post to the page, or you can email england@tvpactivism, and so we can get into what you actually have, and we can try and give you, you need this type of cable, you need that type of cable. I can't say it at the moment because it's too generic. All right, anything else on setup and remote Q&A?
I think if you can set up to do a presentation without the internet and as little technology as possible, then if you don't have that, it's not a big deal. But if you do have it, then you've got extra things at your disposal. So you've got the minimum you need, and then there's extra if you have got the extra resources.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where, say like remote Q&As, you can't do that without an internet connection. So just bear that in mind. But generally, it should be okay. You've even had, you can do a Hangout like this off a 3G connection on your phone if you want to. Just make sure that you are on the right data plan and you don't get charged a ton of money. All right, so the next one is coordinating with points of contact. So points of contact, like me, Tom, and Joe, who's going to be the new points of contact coming in soon, we can help generally coordinate your efforts. So if you're setting up something in, say, Derby, or I don't know where Derby is, but say you're setting up in something in Derby, we can post things on the Facebook page to say, hey, anyone who's around this area want to come to this event. We can even create an event on the on the Venus Project UK Facebook page to say, this event is going on today, hosted by X, Y, and Z, and so we can help really promote your event and hopefully try and get you some extra people in the room who can help you with question and answer, and just generally some more interested people who would actually come to the event and hopefully ask more sensible questions because they're already into it, rather than hitting people in the face who aren't really expecting it. So yeah, get in contact with the page, get in contact with England@tvpactivism.com, and yeah, we can set up hangouts like this on the Mondays where we can go through and help you prepare. We can do a whole load of things. So generally, get in contact with us. Our job is not to tell you what to do per se, it's to help coordinate all the supporters into a more cohesive group to try and increase what we're doing. Words are failing me. So yeah, that's about coordinating and just keeping in touch with us. I guess you guys probably won't know much. Next one would be preparation and advertisement. I kind of went over some of the things that we can do, but also say you could have flyers. Say you're doing something on a university campus, have flyers a week before will do you a world of good. We can advertise with the Facebook page. We can help to there's people in our group who are graphically minded, so they can help design flyers. We can print them off. We've got designs for all the virals and the images which the Venus Project has released on Facebook, on the various media forums that we can get in touch with and use. Say you wanted to actually do a proper slide presentation, we can help get some nice graphics in there and to help make sure that you're not infringing any copyright, because a few of the Venus Project images do have copyright. But generally, if you say, go to thevenusproject.com, you'll be okay. So that's kind of preparation advertisement. Anything else in terms of prep and pre-work marketing we could do? Trying to think. Probably about it.
If somebody was really brave and was gonna wanted a big audience, they could always advertise on the radio. Just like you can tell on the radio what you're doing, and they'll put it out not knowing exactly what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Local radio, local media, like newspapers and stuff. They eat it up. They definitely get it in there. And maybe even do an article on you if you make it sound interesting enough. Alright, next, and the last one was finding contacts. Oh, I wrote that down earlier. That was something you said at the start, David. Have we kind of gone over what you wanted to say about finding contact?
I think I can say it again, though, maybe a little similar to what I said earlier. Was going to I think we need to aim for the thinkers of the world, not to be derogatory towards other people, but to the people that have that higher function of thinking, that listen to us and pose the big questions. So the universities, to poetry and literature groups, going to this debate sessions and joining in with what they've got to say, and then talking to them afterwards, and getting to know these people that we may not agree with on certain things, but have got the ability to think critically for themselves and think, well, what do is this any good? Do I have anything add positive or negative to it? I think we've got to find people like ourselves who really want to push and do something different, because we do need change in the world. And Jack said it's what you do with the information today. So if we take it to the people who we think will have a better chance of grasping the idea and seeing the opportunities, because we have the infrastructure for something like the Venus Project to take off. We have all the ways of transporting food and building shelters and all these other things that we need, all the essentials. But it's the way we distribute them, and if we can change people's minds, and the further up the chain we go, and with people with, you know, and the influence in that society as well, I think the more likely we might actually change something. I don't know if that does that make sense, because it was a bit rambled.
No, makes perfect sense. I think I'm finding that slowly getting to know my neighbours more, and them joining community groups and meeting new people's exciting and fun anyway. And I think within community groups, because you've already got, like, say, people that they want to do something different, they're not just doing the same old, same old. Then they might be slightly more open-minded to other possible solutions for the
I think, well, there's two things. One, I remembered some more stuff that we could watch. There's a whole bunch of lectures of Jacques that are on YouTube. One from Stockholm 2012, where Jacques says that quote that you said earlier, David, about, well, that's the one that I remember him saying, is what you do with it now that makes it's important. So yeah, we can very much like my mum sometimes goes to the local cinema. They do viewings of operas, sometimes live streams, so they're actually going on somewhere in London, but there's a stream out here. Or sometimes it's just ones that have been recorded earlier, a bit later. So we could do lectures that have already happened. They're on YouTube. And if anyone's got into buying the full series of classic lectures and the 2011 lectures, which are available on the website, but do cost a bit of money. So don't worry too much if you haven't got them. They're useful if you really want to get into it. But yeah, those ones can be shown publicly, I believe. Oh, I could be completely wrong there. And I take that back. You probably shouldn't show them. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. But now I would say don't show those ones publicly, if possible, because they are.
Well, I think you could do it if you were sourcing material. You know, if you reference the material like you would in the book. So if you put on your, say, I have a vision of a different type of world. This is based on other people in the world, and I'm going to present some of their ideas, but I've wrapped it up in my own way. You know, if you represent scientific knowledge and you put it into a book, but you reword it and put it in your own words, that's not copyright theft. So if you take other people's words like Jacques and quote him and quote other people from maybe the Zeitgeist or wherever else you want to, and maybe put your own little script together and did a little speech and then use one of their videos as a reference, I think you might be able to get around copyright that way. Or just contact one of the TV, either Aidan, Tom, you know, and then get them to forward it on to somebody in America who would go, yeah, okay, you're working in collaboration with these people and you're going to do this, then we'll give you the right to use this material if you want to be 100% sure.
Yeah, the safest way would be email England at TVP Activism or admin at TVP Activism, and you get an answer. Those are for only for the ones that you've actually paid for. Anything that's on YouTube is completely fine. So play away, and there's hours and hours of stuff on YouTube. Go through the Venus Project YouTube channel, and there's just so much stuff there that to be getting on with. I don't think we're going to really be hitting that problem too much. The other one was, there was another point around. That's it. So in terms of audience and things, as you kind of said, we want to get the right people, say, or people who are more ready for it. You don't want to be pushing ideas on people who aren't interested, because that's where you get negative responses, and then your confidence goes like this, and then you don't try again. The thing is to try and find people who are interested in it. Try and start making a bridge before you kind of leap on it by putting up the whole viewing. You know what I mean? that would just be a way to make your experience a bit better, I think. If we go into, I don't know, a banking convention, play Paradise or Oblivion, it's gonna go badly. So just bear this. But the thing is, people return in there. I think there's another group of people that you guys didn't quite, well, David, you didn't quite mention there, that I think are targetable, which is essentially unemployed people, or people who have recently been made redundant through automation stuff like this. They're gonna. Now, it's going to be hard to try and pick them out because there'll be a lot of unemployed people who aren't ready for this. They're just stuck in the unemployment system, going nowhere. But some people say in 5 years, automated lorries came in across the UK. Then you have a chance there to get in with lorry drivers. There's things are happening. They're going to be going, what's going on? And so at that point, they're going to be more interested in possibly taking up alternatives and understanding why they've lost their job, even if it's just for the next 20 years, getting a new job that won't get automated.
You could always do a showing in a job centre.
You're getting excited, but I think it's worth it. I think it's almost worth getting in. If you know what I mean. I'm sure.
I think those threatened by the problems that are outlined by the Zeitgeist movement and TVP, those who are in that danger zone of falling below the breadline and being cast out, or whatever you want to call it, you know, those that are struggling most might end up actually hearing some of the things you've got to say and listening. So I think, yeah, it's a good point. You just try and talk to those who are affected most by our current problems, because they might be more willing to listen, understanding that the problems are real.
And that includes, say, going down to street protests and talking to those types of people, because they're interested, they're looking for things, and they might not necessarily have the answer. I wanted to go down and miss them. The guys who they did a, what's it called, where you knit on something? You knit some stuff and throw it on a fence. I can't remember what it's called. No,
I don't think I'm with you, no.
Not a little precinct around
vandalism.
Not like a cute name because it's knitted scarves that you wrap around. But they were down at AWE, which is a nuclear weapons center right near where I work. So I wanted to go down and try and talk to them about stuff like this, because they're looking for answers, but going there and putting a scarf around the entire thing, which is what they're trying to do, just not getting anywhere. Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. The miles length of scarf, several miles. Anti-nuclear doodah, wasn't it? Yeah. So I took my own brain a while to catch up. It's all good.
Oh, that's it. Yarn, the thing that I'm talking about is yarn gun.
No, never mind. We did cross wires. It's all right. Moments passed. Yeah, there was an interesting little tent when I went to a festival in July, up near where I am in Chesterfield, I think it was, and they had a little film tent. And I think sometimes they played straight up just, films, and then there was a couple of presentations that I went past at times. So that might be an interesting little, small town festivals like you went to VegFest, small time music festivals, because people are there in a spirit of, they're there mostly for the music and to enjoy themselves, and more likely to listen to what you've got to say as well. I think that'd be a good little, but yeah, that's about it.
Right. That's the end of my points of going over. Okay, let's just quickly recap. So, what to watch? Check out the Venus Project's YouTube channel. That's a great place to start with what you can watch. Match it to your audience and their kind of level of what and their interests as much as you possibly can. Get some info beforehand about the venue, especially technical things about whether you have internet, stuff like that. Hosting, stay calm, try and take a friend if possible, or get in touch with us. We can help you. We can even help you do practice runs here in these kind of hangouts with hosting. But generally, keep it simple. The videos provide most of the information that people need, so you don't need to do lots of intro. But be prepared for questions afterwards. Encourage questions afterwards, I would suggest. Technical setup, just generally get your head around how you're going to get it on your computer and onto the internet, onto the screen, and don't rely on the internet. Yes, we can do remote Q&As, get in touch with us, we can help organise them, no problem. They're very good because not everyone can be wherever you are, but we can have people who want to get involved. Email england@tvpactivism to get in contact with points of contact. We can do things like help promote it, help get other people who are local to you but you might not know who can help you host. And do some preparation, try and get some flyers up, get in contact with local media if possible. We can do things on the Facebook page again, so get in contact with us. And yeah, generally, that's the kind of points that we've gone over today. Anything else popped into your heads while we're here?
Yeah, TV show that I dropped on that's made for free by Robert Llewellyn. If nobody knows that name, it's the guy from Scrappy Challenge or Crichton from Red Dwarf. He's got his own YouTube channel called Fully Charged, and he just does episode after episode about it's mainly cars, but about how renewable energy is at the moment and getting rid of the misinformation. It's from 2011, and I think he's carried on doing them up to present day, bro. I'm only in the first season so far, but really interesting watch if anybody's interested.
Cool. Alright, well, I'll stop the broadcast there, keep this kind of short. Thanks everyone for watching and getting in contact with the show, and good luck with your own hostings. We hope to see what's in the next year. Cheers everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.